सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। ॐ पूर्णमदः पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते पूर्णस्य पूर्णमादाय पूर्णमेवावशिष्यते। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करं शङ्करं शङ्कराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। चैतन्यं सर्वगं सर्वं सर्वभूतगुहाशयम् यत्सर्वविषयातीतं तस्मै सर्वविदे नमः। दुषिस्तु शुद्धोऽहमविक्रियात्मकः न मेऽस्ति कश्चिद्विषयस्वभावतः पुरस्थिरश्चोर्ध्वमदश्च सर्वतः सम्पूर्णभूमा त्वज आत्मनि स्थितः। Aham Drishihi, I am Drishihi, the consciousness, Drishti, like Jnati, similarly Drishti, Drishihi. Shuddha, devoid of any impurities, of ignorance, or products of ignorance. Avikriyatmakaha, Atmaka, of the nature of avikriya, changeless I am. Svabhavataha name kaschid vishaya asti. From the standpoint of my own svabhava, the essential nature, there is no vishaya. This needs to be said, because it looks like there are vishayas of the consciousness. Like in waking state, in dream state, I am conscious of things. So there is consciousness and the vishaya, the objects of consciousness. Svabhavata. From the standpoint of essential nature, there is no vishaya at all. And one lonely, you can say, kevalaha, one without a second. Because if you examine the nature of what is called vishaya, as in the waking state, dream state, you will find that when we subject the vishaya or the object of consciousness to the scrutiny of what is reality, it turns out to be non-existent on its own. Even though the names and forms appear to be real, As long as we do not examine or scrutinize what they are, they appear to be very real and present themselves Vishaya or the object of consciousness, thus creating a duality. When we really analyze, we find that they don't exist. Therefore, nirvishayoham. Purah tirascha urdhvam adhascha sarvatah sampurna bhuma. And bhuma sampurna bhuma. That saha purastat, saha adhastat, saha urdhva. What is it? Purastat, paschat, dakshinatah, uttaratah. Then aham adhastat, purastat, dakshinatah, uttaratah. Then atma adhastat, purastat. So sampurna bhuma, not confined to saha, that is idam, or aham, that is anidam. So aham is what is not idam. I mean, by atma, that is devoid of the ideas of idam and anidam. Sampurna bhuma, limitless, I am in every way. Ajaha, atmani sthitaha, abiding in my own self, in my own glory. स भगवः कस्मिन् प्रतिष्ठितः इति स्वे महिम्नि यदि वा न महिम्नि. O revered sir, where is that established? That bhuma, swamahimni, in his own glory, yadi va na mahimni, or not established in any glory, it is glory swarupa, mahima swarupa. Continuing the third verse, आत्मनः जन्म जरादि विक्रिया अभावेन कूटस्थ अद्वय स्वाभाव्य प्रतिपादन पराश्रुतिः स्वरूपतः अर्थतश्च पठति. श्रुतिः पठति. Here the author Patati reads or mentions, sings Shruti, the statements of Upanishad, Shruti, Vedas. Swarupatah Arthatah. Some statements are repeated as they are, Swarupatah. Some statements are repeated Arthatah. Shruti is there, but the meaning of the words or the statement may be given. Why? Pratipadana paraha Shrutihi. Those statements of Shruti which delineate, expound, Kutastha, Advaya, Swabhavya, Atmana, of Atma, the self that is Kutastha, changeless. Advaya, because when we say Nirvishaya, there is no Vishaya, that means Atma or conscious Advaya. If Vishaya is there, which stands in opposition to the Vishayi, it can bring about some change, Vikara, Kutastha, changeless. Why is it so? Janma, Jaradi, Vikriya, Abhavena. Vikriya, Abhavena, Kutastha. Changeless because there is total absence of Vikara or change or modification. What are those modifications? Janma, Jaradi, Vikriya. So, Jayate, Asti, Vardate, Viparinamate, Apakshiyate, Vinashyati. These are Vikriyas. These Vikriyas or changes we find existing everywhere. So, whatever is born or whatever is created is basically subject to the sixfold modifications. Atma is devoid of any modification because it's not born, unborn, ajaha. Atman is sthita. How come I'm unborn? Because I abide in my own self. I do not require anything other than myself to be what I am to be. To exist, I do not need anything other than myself. To shine and reveal myself, I do not need anything other than myself. Self-existing, self-revealing. Nothing else is self-existing or self-revealing. Everything is subject to janma, mrityu, jara, vyadhi. Abhavena, this vikriyas are absent in Atma. So Atma is kutastha, changeless, advaya, non-dual, because changes will be there if the duality is there. So Shruti, there are statements of Shruti which directly describe them. They are quoted here for the meaning of the Shruti. So the third verse says, Ajo maraschaiva tatha jaro mritaha स्वयं प्रभः सर्वगतो हमद्वयः न कारणं कार्यमतीव निर्मलः सदैकतृप्तश्च ततो विमुक्तो अजः सुश्रुति स्वरूपतः पठति. Quotes the same word, the same Shruti is Ajaha. Shruti says, Ajo nitya shashvatoyam puranaha ayam atma ajaha. Where is that? Kathopanishad. Nitya avinashi shashvataha puranaha, free from modification of growth and decay. So Ajaha. Shruti directly says Atma is Ajaha, meaning that Janma Vikriya is not there. The Vikriya or modification of the nature of Janma is not there. So all following Vikriya also could not be there. Again it is said, Sava Esha Mahan Aja Atma Swarupadaha. Shruti says in her own words, Sava Esha Mahan Atma Ajaha. This great Atma is birthless, unborn. So Ajaha Amarasaiva Tatha Ajaraha Amrutaha. Ajaro Maro Mruto Bhayo Brahma iti. That is the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Brahma, this Atma is Brahma. Ajaraha, free from decrepitude, old age. Amaraha, free from mrityu or the death, deathless. Or immortal, Amaraha. Amrutaha, free from mrityu or the death, deathless. Abhayaha, fearless, Brahma, iti. So the verse says Ajaraha Amarasaiva Ajaha Amarasya Tatha Ajaraha Amrutaha. So Ajaraha Amrutaha Amaraha. This verse comes from this Shruti. Swayam Prabhaha, self-shining, self-effulgent, Atrayam Purushaha, Swayam Jyotihi. Again, Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. Call it Swayam Prabhaha or Swayam Jyotihi. Self-shining, self-revealing. So, Tat Shubram Jyotisham Jyotihi. Mundaka Upanishad. Ever pure, light of all the lights. Meaning that because of which all the lights shine. That's the light of the lights. Yada adityagatam tejaha jagat bhasayate khilam yat chandramasi yachagnav tat tejo viddhi mamakam. Know that to be my light, which you find in the sun and the moon and the fire. Atrayam Purusha Swayam Jyotihi. Atra in the dream state, this Purusha Atma, Paramatma is self-shining. Atra means here, in the dream. So says Yajnavalkya, expounds the Swayam Jyotishvam, the self-effulgence of Atma, with the illustration of dream. Because in dream also, everything shines as it does in the waking state. In the waking state, things are illumined. We may think that sun illumines things, and the moon, at night moon illumines, fire illumines, even speech illumines, sense organs illumine. So these illumining sources are there. In the dream, in the waking state, therefore, even though in waking state also Atma alone that shines. Tat tejo vidhimamakam. So Lord Krishna clearly said that the light that you see in the sun and the moon and the fire, know that to be my light. But still this should not be very clear. One may think that the objects in the waking state are illuminated by many luminaries such as sun and moon. But there is no such luminary in the dream state. This sun, moon, fire have no entry in the dream state. And still the objects in the dream state, they shine in the same way as they do in the waking state. So what's that light? Atrayam Purushaha Swayam Jyoti. Ayam Purusha, this self is self-effulgent in the dream, meaning that the self-effulgence of the Atma is very clear in the dream. It is not that the Atma is self-effulgent only in the dream. The self-effulgence is very clear here. So we call it Swayam Swayam Prabha. Tashubram Jyotisham Jyotihi. Istat Atmavedo Viduhu. Jyotisham Jyotihi. That illumines all the Jyotis or the luminaries or lights. Shubhram itself is Shubhram, pure or self-effulgent. Swayam Prabha Sarvagataha Nityam Vihum Sarvagatam Susukshmam. Again Mundakopanishad. Viratma Tattva is Nityam Avinashi. Vibhum, all pervasive, or Vividena Bhati, which shines as all names and forms. Sarvagatam, Sarvatragatam, which obtains everywhere, all pervasive. Susukshmam, subtler than the subtlest. So this Shruti is quoted for Sarvagataha, which is there in the verse. Then Aham Advaya Ekameva Dvitiyam Chandogya Sadeva Somya. That Sat is one without a second. So this is the Shruti. Shruti is Swarupataha Pathati. This Shruti is in their own words describe Atma as Ajaha, Amaraha, Ajaraha, Amrutaha, Swayam Prabha, Sarvagataha, Advaya. How about the Nakaranam, Nakaryam? So Tikakara says, Arthamaha. So we do not have a Shruti statement that says Atma is Nakaranam, Nakaryam. In other words it says, Tadedat Brahma, Apurvam, Anaparam, Anantam, Abhahyam, Ityadi Shrutyarthamaha. This sloka now gives the artha, the meaning of these other Shruti statements. Tadedat Brahma, Apurvam, devoid of Purvam. Meaning, it is that for which no Purva or earlier thing exists, which is, doesn't have a Karanam, it is not Karyam. Purva, the Karana, Upadana Karana may exist before the Karyam. Brahma does not have any Purvam. There is no upadana karanam. No karanam it has. It is not karyam. Anaparam, aparam, following. There is nothing that follows Brahma. The karya follows karanam. Brahma is not karyam. Anantaram, abahyam, does not have interior or exterior. Ananta. No antaram, abahyam. So that way, na karanam, karyam. So Shloka said, so give the meaning of this Shruti statement. That Atma is neither karanam, not a cause. Nothing is born of Atma. It is not karyam, it is not born of anything. And najayate mriyate va vipaschit naam kutaschit na bahuva kaschit. Naam kutaschit bahuva kaschit na bahuva. This one is not born of anything, nor is anything born of this. This one is not born of anything, it is not karyam. Nothing is born of this, it is not karanam. Na karanam, karyam, ativa nirmalaha. Nirmalaha. The word of mala or impurity, ever pure. Niranjana paramam samupayati. Niranjana is the same as nirmala. Anjana also is impurity. Niranjana ever pure. Untainted, taintless. So nirmala is the meaning of the word Niranjana appearing in the Shruti. Sadaika truptascha tataha. Sadaika truptascha. Atma is eka truptaha. Ekena nijanandena iva truptaha ityarthaha. Ekena truptaha. All that Atma requires for trupti, the contentment, is only one thing. What is that one thing that Atma requires or Atma has for trupti or contentment? Eka one. What is that one? Nijanandena eva. The ananda, that is one's own swarupa, is because of which Atma is ever content. I am ever content. So that Atma is Ananda Swarupa. Anandam Brahmano Vidwan na viveti kutaschaneti. Taittiriya Upanishad. So na viveti kutaschaneti. The wise person, na viveti, has no fear kutaschana from any source. At any time, at any place, from any source, the wise person doesn't have fear. Why? Anandam Brahmano Vidwan. Brahmana Anandam Vidwan. Knowing Brahman, the service Ananda, as whole, as complete, as non-dual. Abhayam Pratishtha Vindate. Gains abidance in the fearlessness. But this is quoted as Anandam Brahmano Vidwan. Brahma is the nature of Ananda, Atma nature of Ananda. Therefore, Sada Ekatrupta, always content with oneself. Anandarupam Amritam Yad Vibhati. So, which is Anandarupam Amritam, Anandarupam Vibhati. Brahman that shines as the nature of Ananda. Mundaka Upanishad. Then Tata Vimukta. Vimuktasya vimuchyate iti Shrutim ashrityaha. Vimuktasya vimuchyate. There is already vimukta. Atma is already free or liberated, becomes liberated as though. Or one who is vimukta, liberated while living, he remains liberated even after departure from his body. So vimuktasya vimuchyate can be interpreted. Either vimukti is nitya prapta, therefore it is not that vimuchyate becomes liberated. One who is already liberated discovers that I am liberated. Or vimuktasya vimuchyate. After the departure of this body, called videhe kaivalyam, that is because while living also is jivan mukta. Jivan neva mukta. Therefore, vimuchyate, after departing the body also, he remains liberated. Not becomes liberated, he remains liberated. And so, tato vimukta, the sloka says, tatah, therefore, yatah evam lakshana, tatah vimukta eva. Yatah, because ajah amaraschaiva, ajarah amrutah swayam prabha. Sarvagataha, Advayaha, Nakaranam, Nakaryam, Ativa Nirvalaha, Sadeka Triptascha, Tataha. Each one of these words in fact describes mukti. Each one of them describes freedom. Ajaha, unborn, freedom from birth means samsara. Amarha, freedom from mortality, immortal. Amrutaha, deathless. So death, mortality, old age, but all of these describe samsara or the bandhanam. Birth does not describe bandhanam. Death does not describe bandhanam. Ajoham, martyoham, so janmavanaham, jatoham, I am born, that is samsara. Martyoham, I am going to die, that is samsara. Mrityu is not samsara. Janma is not samsara. Only when something is joined with I, or I join myself with something, then it becomes there is samsara for I, as though. But even when I say jatoham, mritoham, so even when I say all of this about myself, I am not fortunately. Therefore, vimukta, ever liberated I am, ever free I am. All of these are only notions about the self, not reality of the self. Yata evam lakshana. Since I am of the nature of birthlessness, deathlessness, ever shining, all pervasive, non-dual, not a cause, not an effect, ever pure, ever contented. All of this is a description of freedom. Therefore, vimukta, visheshana mukta, ever liberated. Not that I became liberated. Sada, there is one word, sada ekatrupta, sada. Says sada eti padam sarvatra anushanjaniyam. Sada ajaha, sada amaraha, sada ajaraha. But sada is to be connected with everyone. That ever I am unborn, ever I am deathless, etc. Sada ekatrupta, I am ever trupta, content with only myself. So this is what the Acharya said. Yada Acharyana Uktam, Yat Acharyana Uktam Mama Swarupam Tat Tathaiva iti. So this is how Acharya reveals the Swarupa or the essential nature of the self, that means of the disciple. Tat Tathaiva iti. Then the disciple responds, Sir, what you say is exactly how it is. Ananya prokte gatiratra nasti. When Acharya unfolds self, he unfolds self as his own self. Ananya prokte, the self is unfolded as the self of the disciple also. And therefore, when Acharya unfolds Atma as his own self, and also the self of the disciple, then disciple sees that fact. Tat tathaiva iti. O revered sir, the way you have unfolded the nature of self is exactly what it is, meaning that I confirm it with my own experience also. Shishya anumanyate. Shishya expresses anumati, concurrence. Om. So this last Om are the words or the word of Shishya. Earlier in the first verse also, the verse concluded Om. The Tikakara said that shows Om is a means of this knowledge. Here Om is Anumati. That is exactly what it is. So Anumanyate Om iti pade nityartha. So that's Anumati, concurrence on the part of the Shishya. That is said that knowledge does take place. The Shishya does come to know as the Guru has unfolded. It's not that unfoldment takes place on the part of Guru and then it never penetrates. It doesn't have any fact, it has. Because Shishya is the same as Guru. The nature of Shishya was different from that of the Guru. And Guru was unfolding his nature. And Shishya has no connection with that, then there cannot be concurrence. And so this is how the Shishya also verifies that yes sir, what you said is exactly what it is. Nanu sthanatraye anyatha prathamanasya katham avikriyatmakatvam. How can you say Atma is avikriyatmaka, of the nature of avikriya or changelessness, that Atma is free from all changes or modifications? How can you say? Sthanatre anyatha prathamanasya. Sthanatre, the three states. The waking Atma is called Vishwa, Vaker, and has one Sarupa, one Rupa. Dream is called Taijasa, has a different Rupa. Deep is called Prajna, has a different Rupa. Or Atma is known as Vaker, dreamer, deep sleeper, as Vishwa, Taijasa, Prajna, Anyatha Prathamanasya. If Atma is the same, Avikriya Atmaka, changeless in nature, then it should be called the same. If I am in Ahmedabad, then I am called Swami Viditatmananda. If same I goes to Vadodara, then they will say Swami Viditatmananda in Vadodara also. That, the name does not change. You go to Surat, Mumbai, wherever you go, Prathamanasya, a person is known in the same way everywhere. Because that shows it doesn't change. If the fellow is one here in Ahmedabad, he is a rich man, in Vadodara he is a crook, in Surat is something, that can also be. So people may change. Then they are not known in the same way in different places. Then there is subject to vikriya. Subject to change. Wears different garbs in different places and reveals himself different in different places. And Atma also is known differently in the waking, dream, deep sleep. Prathamanasya. That's how he is famous, he is known. Katham, if Atma is the same in all the three states, then he should be known in the same way, by the same name. He is known differently. Katham avikriyatmakatvam. How can you say Atma is avikriyatmaka, changeless? Iti, if that is the question, Ata, that question is replied in the next verse, in the verse number 4. Sushupta jagrat svabatascha darshanam namesti kinchit tumater himohanam svatascha tesham paratopya satvatah turiya evasmi sada drugadvayah. Sushupta jagra swapatah. I who is Sushupta, the sleeping, Jagat waking, Swapataha dreaming, Name kinchit darshanam asti. I don't see anything there. If I see different things in different places, seer also undergoes a change in keeping with what is seen. So what I see changes. Even though my dress and things remain the same, my name remains the same, but I also change in keeping with what I perceive or what I see. Because what I see also brings out a corresponding response in my mind. Happiness, unhappiness, wonder. So as long as I experience something, the experiencer always changes. In the waking state, Atma experiences gross objects, and therefore he is called Vishwa. And so, Bahish Prajna, he is the one whose prajna, the consciousness, is directed outwards. Jagasthana, his place or his sphere of activity is waking. Bahish Sthula Bhuk, experiencing gross objects, called Vaishvanara, that is his name. So this is how is Atma known in waking. Atma is said to be experiencing Sthula Bhuk, the gross objects in the waking state. If this is so, then he is Vaishvanara, experiencing gross objects, called Vishwa or Vaishvanara. Says, no, namescha kinchit darshanam. I do not experience anything in the waking state. Then who experiences that? Matehe mohanam. It is only the mohanam, the projection of the mati. The whole waking world, even the waker, the waking objects, the subject, object, experience, experiencer, experienced, experience, all of this is nothing but the projection of mati. It's nicely described in the Kaivalya Upanishad elsewhere. Materhi mohanam. Why do you say that they are not there? Swatascha tesham paratopi asatvatah. The so-called waking objects or the gross objects that are said to be experienced in the waking state, if you examine what they are not there. Swatascha tesham asatvatah. They do not enjoy existence on their own. Paratascha, they are not existent because of something else. Now this is something new. What we call mithya does not enjoy its own reality, but it does have reality on account of something else. That's what we call mithya. That clay is self-existent, the pot is existent because of clay, so that's called mithya. But here he says asatvata, no, parataha. These objects do not enjoy existence because of something else also. They don't enjoy existence. Therefore, who am I? Turu eva asmi sada. I am only Turi, I have four so-called. Sada drug, advaya, ever the drug, drushi Advaya, non-dual. Meaning that I am drug or the consciousness, advaya, objectless consciousness I am. So the Tikakar explains this. Sushupta jagra swapatascha darshanam. Sushuptaschaso jagratcha sachaso swapamscha. When we sushupta, sleeping, jagrat, waking, swapan, dreaming, sushupta jagat swapan. That's how the samasa is explained. Swapataha, sixth case. Tasya. Of sushupta jagrat swapan. Tasya sushupta jagrat swapataha. Me comes from the second line. I, who is thought to be sushupta sleeping, Jagat waking, Swapatah dreaming. I, who is thought to be like this, or who is known like this, Jagasthana, Swapnasthana, Sushuptasthana. Now, Swamiva Atmyam Iva in the Tika, that we don't find in the verse, but we have a footnote 1 here where Namesti Kinchittu. So instead of Kinchittu Materhi Mohanam Swamivaya iti Pathoyam Tika Sammatah. So Tikakara accept. So Kinchit Swam Iva Iha. Namesti Swamivaya Materhi Mohanam is Krishna. It does not quite fit the meter and doesn't seem to be so much necessary also. But anyway, so that patha is accepted by the Tikakara. So, Jagat Svato me mama swam iva. Swam means I, or some also means mine. So, Atmyam iva. There is nothing that is mine. Iha vyavahare kinchit darshanam nasti. For me, in the vyavahara, in the waking state, there is no darshanam, no seeing, no experience at all. I don't experience anything in the waking state. Swam means mine. There is nothing, no such thing as mine. Mine is one that is related to I. It's called Sambandha Shashti. So mama, or mine, is that which is related to I. If this entity is in waking state where not I but related to I, then also I would experience him. Swam iva, atmyam iva, vyavahare nasti. There is no darshan, no experience that is mine. There is no object that is mine, no experience also that is mine. Oh, swam iva, swa also means I. Sarvabhutam iva itiva. Sarvabhutam darshanam na. There is no darshanam for me, or I am not a drashta. There is no darshanam of that is my nature. And what's going on in the waking state? Into mohanam, moha, delusion, aviveka, avidya, adhyaropidam. So aviveka and avidya is what? The vikshepa and avarana. Avarana is non-perception, vikshepa is the wrong perception. And so avarana, vikshepa, ignorance, projection. The projection can be there only when there is ignorance. That is why the avarana has to be included when there is vikshepa. All of this darshanam looks like I am drashta. This is my darshanam. All of this is matehe mohanam. It is aviveka adhyaropitam. Aviveka. Not knowing the true nature of self. And avidya, not knowing aviveka, then projecting something. So then I do not know true nature of myself. I project upon myself that I am a drashta. I do not know true nature of the objects. I project they are real. That is the real vyavahara of the drashta, drushya, darshanam. Well, this is aropitam. What is jagrata darshanam? Mohanam. Matehe mohanam. Jagrata, the meaning all darshanam or experiences. You are thought to be there in the waking, dream, deep sleep. All of this is projection of the mind. That the mind projects. So that is where, what is it? I am devaha swamahimanam anubhavati. Prashnopanishad says deva called the mind. Experience his own mahima, the glory. What's the mahima? That mind itself becomes the experiencer, the bhokta, bhoga, bhogyam. All of these, the mind itself becomes, and then experience its own glory. Why do you say mind experiences glory? The Atma doesn't experience. Therefore, their experience is only accounted for mind. So, matehe mohanam. All of this moha, aviveka, projection by mati. Why do you say that? I mean, last night in the dream I experienced this certain says, Swamiji, you came in my dream. How would you call it? It's not there. So let us examine the reality of what we think is there in the dream, waking, deep sleep. Swatascha. So says, Swatascha tesham paratopi asatvatah. They are no more than the projection of the mind, because the objects that are thought to be there in these three states, they do not enjoy existence on their own, they do not enjoy independent existence, nor do they enjoy borrowed existence. Otherwise you can say they exist in some way, they don't exist, whatever. So swatascha asatvatah. Asatvatah because of non-existence on their own account. Because by nature they are non-existent. That's what is meant. Tesham jagrat swapna sushupti darshanana. The experiences in the waking, dream, deep sleep, their experience should also include the experiencer and experience the whole world. Jagradadi avastharupana, of the nature of what we call the waking, dream, deep states, deep sleep states. Swatascha paratopi asatvatah. They don't exist because of themselves, nor do they exist because of something else. How do you say that? We say pot exists because of clay. So that's called mithya, that exists because of satyam, which is atma. So that also is denied here. तो says टीकाकार नहीं तेषाम स्वतः अन्य निरपेक्षम सत्वम संभाव्यते. Swata means on their own. When you something exists on its own, which means that it does not require anything other than itself to exist. Anya nirapeksham, without apeksha or expectation of the requirement or dependent upon anything else one exists, they don't enjoy that kind of existence. Chakarat sfuranam cha. They do not exist on their own, nor do they shine on their own. Because satta and sfurti always go together. You can experience something provided it is, and you can say it is only when you experience it. All right, but they exist because of Atma, is it not so? Tatha paradopi na sattvam sfuranam cha sambhavyete. Not the so-called experiences, an experiencer, and experience objects. These three states, they do not exist because of Atma also. The only thing that left is Atma. Na parataha. The existence and revelation, they do not exist or reveal themselves on account of something else also. Na sambhavyate. Well, what could be that because of which you can say that these entities exist and shine? Chaitanya. Chaitanyam syat. Why not you say that Chaitanyam, consciousness, Atma, is because of which all these entities shine? Drashta, Drashya, Darshanam, all of them exist and shine because of Chaitanyam Atma. Nahi tena atmana sattvadikam esham sambhavati. Tena atmana, as Chaitanya, they cannot be existing. So sattvadikam, sattvam suranam, being there and shining is not possible, not tenable logically also because of consciousness. प्रत्येक पराग भावेन विरुद्ध स्वभावयोः तादात्म्य अनुपत्तेः. there cannot be identification between two entities when they are opposed in nature. Identification is possible when two things coexist, They are opposed meaning that one is not there when the other is. Like darkness cannot coexist with light. And therefore, this is darkness. All these experiences, etc., three states are darkness. And Chaitanya is light. Therefore, they cannot coexist. Yushmat asmat pratyay gocharayoho vishay vishayinoho paraspara viruddha svabhavayoho. Their nature is totally contradictory to each other. Therefore, they cannot coexist. Oh, wait a minute. Agama payitvena rajju sarvat aropitatva nischayat. Why do you say that they do not exist on their own or shine on their own? Because like rajju sarva. Agama payitvena. They are subject to agama, coming, apaya, disappearing. Appearing, disappearing, that's their nature. That means anything that comes and goes does not exist on its own. Something that exists on its own will not come and go because it exists on its own. It's not dependent upon anything else. The cloth can be there as long as the cotton is there. Cotton goes away, cloth goes away. So anything that is subject to coming and going, you can say that does not exist on its own. Agama apayitvena rajju sarva aropitatva nishaya. Therefore, it is clear to us that the entities, the waking, dream, deep sleep states are rajju sarvat. They are like the rope snake, because what is the character of rope snake? It comes and goes. There now, not there later when the object is known as rope. Just as rope does not exist on its own, these entities, the waking, dream, deep sleep also, display the same characteristics as a rope snake. Therefore, like rope snake, they do not exist on their own. Tatha paratha, if they do not exist on their own, then they can paratah api sattvam suram sasambhavyate. Na sambhavyate. But nor can their existence or shining is possible because of another one, parata. What another one? Param Chaitanyam. Another one can be what? Chaitanyam or consciousness or Atma can be another entity. So these entities, the waking, etc., if they do not exist or shine on their own, they exist and shine because of Atma. That's not possible, not logical. Nahi tena atmana sattvadikam esham sambhavati. Sattvadikam, sattvam sfuranam. To be and to shine for these entities in the three states is not possible because of Chaitanya. Why? Pratyek parag bhavena viruddha svabhavayoho tadatmya anupattehe. Because they are opposed in nature, like light and darkness, which cannot coexist. Similarly also, Atma or Chaitanya in these entities, where Chaitanya is, these things have no existence. They are not quite opposed like light and darkness, Although light and darkness is given, but it is not quite appropriate example. Because, yes, darkness does not exist where the light is. So these entities do not exist where Chaitanya is. But the light exists where darkness is, in this case. Meaning that Chaitanya is very much there even when these entities are there. Matsthani sarvabhutani nachaham teshu avastita. So it's not quite mutually exclusive. They cannot exclude Chaitanya in that sense. But still they are not where Chaitanya is. They are when Chaitanya is, not where Chaitanya is. Chaitanya enjoys absolute reality, and they disappear when they approach Chaitanya, like the snake disappears trying to approach the rope. That you can say that the rope and snake are opposed in nature, opposed to each other in nature. So pratyak parag bhavena viruddha svabhavayoho. One is parag, existing outside, other is pratyak, existing within. So within and without cannot coexist. So these characters are given which are opposed to each other because they cannot coexist. Simply logical thing. Although Chaitanya is not opposed to these entities. They are opposed to Chaitanya, Chaitanya is not opposed to them. Otherwise they can't exist and shine also. But anyway, here for the sake of logic, because their nature is contradictory to each other, therefore they cannot coexist. And these fellows, entities, can enjoy existence provided they coexist with existence and sfuranam, satta sfuranam. Tadatma anupatte. So tadatma, identification cannot be between two entities, they do not coexist. It is true. It is not tadatma here, this is all projection. Anyway, tat kalpanayasya bhranti matratvat. But it looks to us that they coexist, there is also bhranti. Tat tadatma kalpanayasya. This tadatma, identification with them, is also a kalpana. It logically is not possible. It's a different thing that it so appears to you. It's a different thing that's what your conclusion is. But it does not stand to reason because these entities cannot coexist. Prajnah Tejasah Vishva iti ete tad avasthavattvena bhasamanaha na mama swarupa idvami. Prajna is not there. And Tejasa is not there. And Prajna and Vishwa is not there. Why? We experience you that's the Bhranti. There is no such entity as Vishwa, Tejasa Prajna, therefore it cannot be my Swarupa. Tari kim Swarupa iti? And what says Swarupa? Turi evasmi, I am only Turi, I have fourth. What is fourth? Vishwaditraya apekshaya paratah gamimanatvat chaturtha ityartha. Said that I am not Vishwa, I am not Tejasa, I am not Prajna. Since it is said that these three I am not, therefore Vishwaditraya apekshaya. With reference to these three, Vishwadi, beginning of Vishwa, means Vishwa, Tejasa, Prajna, with reference to these three, Paratah Gamyamanatvat, since Atma or Brahman is thought to be different from these three, because these three are not Atma. And so, Paratah Gamyamanatvat, you arrive at the Atma by excluding this. Therefore you call, tentatively you call Atma the fourth. So Turi evasmi, I am only fourth with reference to these three. Tasya lakshanam, what is the lakshanam of the Atma? Such as that, sadadruk iti. Sarva avastha drashta ityartha. Sadadruk, ever the drashta. Druk means drashta, the seer. Sarva avastha drashta. I am the seer in all the states. Illuminator in all the states. Simply shining in my own glory in all the states. By my presence they get illumined. So you can call me drashta or druk. Sada drashta. But ever is drashta. Ever a knower, ever a witness. Moment you join sada, then druk or drashta cannot be in primary sense. That is called drashta or druk, that is bound to change, but it's a role. Druk or drashta also is role with reference to drishyam. As drishya changes, then drashta will change. So sada druk you cannot say. When you add the adjective sada, then the druktvam, drashtutvam, being a witness also does not remain in primary sense. That role also is not there. So call him sada or nitya, nitya drashta, nitya shrota, etc. Then drashtutvam, shrotrutvam, they are negated by adding this nitya. Vishwadinam swastavastha matra drashtritvat ayam tato vyatiriktah. But still, in what way is the Atma different from the Sri? Because they are also drashta. Vishwa, Taisa, Prajna also, they are also drashta. Except that Vishwa is the drashta only of the waking state. Why not the dream state? Because the waker does not exist in the dream. Therefore, Vishwa cannot be drashta or seer or perceiver of the dream, and so forth. So they are drashta all right. And Atma also is drashta. What's the difference in the drashtrutvam? That they are drashta only in those particular states. This one is sadadruk, always drashta in all the states. Ayam tataha vyatiriktah. Therefore, ayam Atma, this Atma, who is sadadruk, different, vyatiriktah. Vilakshana, different from the waker, dreamer, deep sleeper. The way it's called fourth. Sthula, sukshma, kramena, vivicya, anveshana dashayam, vishwadisthanatra apohena, avasyamanatva, turiyeti uchyate. Why is Atma called Turiya the fourth? Because in the process of investigation and inquiry, you start with what is most evident, sthula, that's the waking. Then you go next, sukshma, the dreaming. And you go karana, the deep sleep. Kramena, vivicya, anveshan dashayam. So when you analyze in this manner and investigate, vishvadi sthanatra apohena. So then you have to let go the waker to arrive at the dreamer, let go dreamer to arrive at the sleeper, let go of the sleeper to arrive at the Atma. That's why it's called Turiya. Sthanatra apohena avasiyamanatvat. Because Turiya is something that is ascertained by apoha, by the negation of these three sthanas. Turiya iti uchyate. So is tentatively called Turiya the fourth. Na punah vastutat turiyatvam asti. In a primary sense, there is no fourthness. So it says advaya iti, non-dual. Fourth means different from three. You follow? So fourth can be non-dual. Fourth is always a reference to three. It says, no, I am not fourth. I am called fourth only in the process of investigation. You come to first and then let go, second let go, third let go, arrive at me, so tentatively I am called fourth. But here you should understand that I am non-dual. Nirvishesheva sadahamasmi ityartha. In reality, I am nirvishesha, devoid of all the attributes. Attribute means the firstness, secondness, fourthness is also an attribute, visheshata. That also I don't have. Ityartha. So very beautifully the nature of the self is unfolded here. And in this chapter it is unfolded with the help of Shruti. Earlier with Yukti. Here mainly with Shruti, accompanied with Yukti. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamada Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Shankaram Shankaracharyam केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय मूर्तये नमः। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। हरि ओम। श्री गुरुभ्यो